Hi everyone, I'm Julia Shalom Jordan. I am an author and a writer. I have a website called abbasheart.net, which is a prophetic website about hearing the voice of God. So I kind of teach people about that, and I share my personal journals online. I'm not really comfortable with YouTube. I'm not comfortable being on camera. I'm a total introvert. I'm perfect for writing, and so this is really outside of my comfort zone, really outside of my genre. But lately, I've been getting these very vivid dreams, and I've been journaling them and really hearing the voice of God, and like literally in the middle of the night, hearing an audible voice, waking me up from my sleep. And I've been waking up out of a stupor and just writing and writing and hearing and just writing. And so I felt really strong in my spirit that it's time for me to get out of my writing cave and do the uncomfortable things and share what God is putting on my heart to share. And these messages are, as I'm receiving them, I'm feeling the weight of them, and I know that I can't just carry it around inside. I have to share because that's my responsibility. So anyway, that's who I am, and I'm going to be sharing. This is my first dream video that I'm going to be sharing. So if you see me again, it's probably because God is telling me to upload another vision or dream or some prophetic word. But it's not because I want to start this great YouTube channel. It's just because I feel that the Lord has some things that he wants to share with his people. And I feel that he's been telling me lately, which is so weird, that I'm a prophet to this nation. I have a real love for this country. I really do. I have a passion for America. I'm actually multicultural, a mixed race, but for some reason I don't identify with either one of that. I've always identified myself as just an American, and so I've been praying for America, and the Lord is actually answering and sharing dreams about America, and so that's what I'll be sharing with you. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you share with people who need to hear it. I hope it encourages you. And I hope that we can just connect as brothers and sisters on here. And thank you for stopping by. I don't know how to do this. So bye, and thank you, and God bless you all. Okay, so here's the dream. I got the interpretation July 1st, 2020. I found myself sitting in a plastic surgeon's office. This place was dirty, not somewhere you would want to receive any kind of medical care. I was with my husband and feeling pretty good, neutral about my appearance, not overly excited, but not especially insecure. So I wondered why I was even in this place. A disheveled doctor comes into the room, quickly handing me a mirror, asking, "How can I help you today?" So peering into the mirror, I see my face begin to morph. It became extremely distorted. My jaw expanded as if I were a 300-pound linebacker on steroids. I winced because the image reflected was physically painful to see. I was horrified and ashamed, and I was willing to sign up for whatever surgery would fix this massive deformity. When I turned towards the doctor to ask when I could schedule my appointment, his image began to morph before my eyes. This tall white man shrunk into a small, skinny, very effeminate-looking East Indian man. His skin shifted from the color white to blue, and he had on a very fake-looking, glued-on dark beard. It was a lot like the bearded lady in the movie The Greatest Showman. It was so grotesque and jarring for me, but I didn't want to make this being feel uncomfortable, so I tried not to stare and make a big deal out of it. The whole scene was ironic because he was going to help me fix my hideous issue, and he was actually pretty hideous himself. So in a rush, the doctor said the office was going to close soon and asked if I would follow him as he led me out the back way. He directed John and I to stop by a room to pick someone up, so we waited by the door that he motioned to. I looked down And John and I are no longer standing, but sitting in a boat. The hallway is now darkened and filled with water. A huge East Indian man, about the size of 4 large men wearing a silk robe, joins John and I in the boat. The male giant leans down. His robe opens, exposing 2 very large breasts. My husband and I both stare at each other in silent disbelief. The giant eyes both of us, smiling a devilish grin. Then he directs a lustful stare straight towards my husband. A huge male anatomy part rises erect between us and this giant. The giant was becoming very aroused by our extreme discomfort. Fear paralyzed both of us. We couldn't move, and neither of us wanted to acknowledge what was happening for fear of what might happen next. The boat began to move, and the scenes before us changed. It totally reminded me of It's a Small World boat ride at Disney, where you pass different scenes playing before you. So the first stop was in front of a bunch of large paper lanterns hovering above boats. I could see many East Indian people, both men and women, floating in these boats. Their legs were crossed in a yoga position. So there was like one boat for each person. And some of these people were standing, but they were tall enough to stand in this deep water and still be seen. They were very large. I stared as they all began a prayer pose, lifting their hands above their heads like that. Then I watched, horrified and mesmerized at the same time. Their skin began to ripple as if it were liquid, and something was shifting underneath them. And it's just so hard to explain, but it was like they were like shape-shifting, and their skin was just loosely on top of something else. And what ended up happening was the back of their body turned into the front of their body, and now what stood in place of their face was a buttocks. I was in shock, and the boat just drifted away from these literal praying asses. They were just like this, and then it was a butt that was in place of the face. We traveled down a little way, and I could see a massive army. As we got closer, I could see these people were of Asian descent. They had dead eyes as they followed the loud instructions of the leader, which reminded me of the communist North Korean regime. These people were just going through the motions without heart or passion, in robotic submission. The boat drifted further down the dark tunnel. We hear loud screaming and banging, feeling a thump against the boat. Black youth descended upon us from every direction, from the back, front, sides, and dropping from the ceiling. Suddenly, we were surrounded by skinny black kids dressed in all black. I could see them in the darkness because they were throwing fire bombs, and the glow from the embers illuminated their dreadlocked hair. The gold grills covering their teeth glistened. Pounding on the boat, they rocked it, trying to flip it, wild and amped. They were just ravenous for violence and chaos. One of them made eye contact with me, and his eyes were just filled with hate. He lifted up a hand weight, something that you would see in a gym, to hit me. And suddenly he stopped, like right before he hit me, and he yelled, "Hey, Dave Chappelle, should I bash her in?" And that's when I woke from the dream. So I said, God, if this is from you, then I'm going to remember it. And if I still remember this dream in a week, I'm going to write it all out, and then I'm going to ask you for its interpretation. But before we go, Lord, please just tell me, what was the name of those 2 demonic spirits working together, male and female, almost as if they were like a mixed sex? They seemed to be commingled, a part of each other. What was the name of this thing, if it had a name? And I heard the word Shiva. So I looked this up online, and this is the image that I got. See that? male and female, blue skin. And the interesting part is it has a trident pitchfork, which indicates that this is a water spirit, which makes sense because this whole dream was steeped in water. So it was crazy how I got a revelation of this dream. I didn't get the interpretation right away. I got the interpretation on July 1st, which was probably about a week after I had the actual dream. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up to an audible voice talking to me, like saying, like, this is what this means. This is what this means. This is what this means. And I kind of pushed it aside thinking, okay, God, if that's you, like, let's talk when I'm coherent and I need my sleep. And I just kept hearing it. So I felt like I had to get up. So it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I get up and I just start writing everything that I'm hearing from him. And I was up for 2 hours writing. And this is what I got on July 1st. I asked him, Lord, what did this dream symbolize? He says, the plastic surgeon's office signifies the unnatural nature of his spirit, which professes self-love, but the minute you begin engaging with it, your identity becomes distorted. You lose appreciation for who you are and how I created you, feeling an intense impulse to change things. The multicultural boat ride reveals that this spirit has infected all parts of the world, hence it's the small world feel. The East Indians in the prayer position who flipped in their skin symbolize the feeling of being uncomfortable in your own skin. When their heads became asses, this revealed how the enemy is literally making an ass or mockery of the people who fall under its spell. This spirit indeed relishes in shock and discomfort. Shiva presents as an accepting, loving spirit, but when it is worshipped, the transgender deception intensifies and becomes empowered. This spirit works to disfigure the image of God given to man and women, causing self-hatred to the point of self-mutilation and deep confusion concerning identity. The dead-eyed, passionless people following the Asian dictator reveal the deep and numbing spell Shiva puts her victims under. People feel dead and empty from the inside, just going through the motions on the outside. The dreadlocked, rebellious juveniles represent the Black Lives Matter movement, empowering the spirit's agenda. Celebrities are backing this agenda so that those who worship them will be open to bowing to Shiva's demand for worship. She wants all to kneel in subservience. So I asked God, Lord, what do you want to say to your people? What am I supposed to do with this? What are any of us supposed to do with this? And this is what I heard from him. He said, my children, you're feeling exhausted because this spirit is infiltrating every part of life. There is no escape from it. It's in the school systems, recreation, entertainment, politics, and religious spheres. You cannot escape it because it's now everywhere. If it cannot get you to question your sexual identity, it will overshadow you with deep hopelessness, rage, or rebellion. It's unconcerned with your preference, just as long as you come into agreement with these feelings. He says, I'm calling all who know me to repent. Everyone who has prayed to the Spirit, opened their chakras during yoga, positioned their body in worship, or has bended a knee to it. Every person who has done these things has opened their lives to a deceptive curse. I'm calling my children to break their covenants of worship, to separate themselves from the spirit that's preparing the world for the Antichrist, working to demolish the image of God imprinted upon my greatest masterpiece, man and woman. Pray for the little ones who are developing awareness of their identity. The enemy wants to entrap them in confusion early, so they'll believe the lie that confusion and chaos of identity is natural. It is not natural. or you would find such things in nature. Parents, do not worry about offending others, but speak affirming words of proper identity aligned with my heart and truth. Boundaries and proper identities must be established in the home to prepare these precious minds for the assaults outside and around them on a daily basis. Pray for your children. Speak my word over them. I'll hear and answer your cry, but this can only happen if you call on me. Great darkness covers the earth because my children are not using their voices to praise me, to speak my truth, and to stand for righteousness in the public square. They're losing their voice because they aren't using it to influence culture. I'm calling my people to make a stand for me, and I will back them with courage, blessing, and honor. I'm going to leave the Bible verses that back up everything that I saw, so that you know that this is, I guess, biblically in alignment. This dream doesn't come out of alignment with what God warns in the Bible. I just think that God gives us visions and dreams to kind of confirm what he's already written, to make it a little bit more real to us, to make it a little more personal. Because you could pick up the Bible and read it and it doesn't hit you sometimes as a personal thing that's even happening now. But what's happening right now is it's a spiritual battle. And we all need to come together to work in unity, to not focus on the things that make us different, like the different denominations of Christianity and all that. We all need to get purified in our hearts, and choose to seek God on our own, read the Bible on our own, do these things on our own. The Lord really put this strong on my heart, and I'm just going to share this just from my heart. I am not a prophetic person. I'm not a YouTube person. Like, this is totally not my thing at all. In fact, I'm very uncomfortable doing this, to be honest. But God has been preparing me for this, I guess. He told me. I've been meeting with him every day for about 2.5 to 4 hours, sometimes 5, every morning. Just hearing from him, learning his voice, spending time with him in worship. And I did all this because I felt like he wanted me to write a devotional book, kind of like Jesus Calling. And so I did. I did this, and I'm working on the book. It's called Abba's Heart. It's a devotional. But I felt that he said that season is over. And so I was like, okay, the season's over. I'm going to have to work on the work of this and publishing this. And then he just opened the floodgates for these dreams. And I've been praying since I got saved, probably about 12 years ago, for visions and dreams, and he never really gave them to me. But I kept praying, because it says in the word, keep praying. And it's almost like he wanted me to hear his voice first, and then know him very well, and then give me these dreams. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but I know he's doing something, because it seems like there's an order to what's happening in my life, and he's unfolding things in a very interesting way. And so I'm not a YouTube person, so I'm only going to share if he's going to tell me to share. And I'm just going to tell you all that if you feel that other people need to hear this message, please share it with other believers, because we all need to know how to pray and how to prepare our children for what's coming, because it's going to be harder if you don't tell them and you don't prepare your home for this. So I just, I'm calling all parents to share this with each other and to pray for the next generation. And I guess I'll just talk to you later.